Hello out there, internet land. Happy December, Merry Christmas, and welcome to my first ever vlog. Why am I vlogging, you ask? Well, because it's scary, and I have been trying this year to do things that scare me a little bit. I may never do it again, but at least I can say I've done it. Anyway, today I'm making a vlog, the first of probably a series of vlogs, because oh my goodness, you guys sent in so many questions, and I don't think I'm going to be able to keep them short, because some of them are really, all of them are really good questions. So I'm probably going to split this up into some segments and just post little vlogs throughout the month instead of doing a big long hour-long one, because that nobody would watch that. I wouldn't watch that. So, celebrating the 6th year of blogging at JanelleSchmidt.com, and oh my goodness, what a wonderful 6 years it's been. You guys who read my blog have just been so great with encouraging comments and reading my books and telling people about my posts, and just, you guys are awesome, and I just really wanted to say thank you for sticking with me as I muddle around blogging about fantasy and books I like and really random things sometimes. So you guys are superstars for sticking with all of that and still seeming to enjoy the things that I post. A few things about my blog. It did come into existence on December 4th, 2012, and since then I've written 835 posts on this blog. I've had 61,000 views, 5,360 comments, more now because these are old numbers from back at the beginning of November. I like to use my blog to help other authors and other artists, and I have had 80 artists and or authors over here with interviews or guest posts or character interviews, and it's really fun to be able to use my platform to help promote other authors who are just, you know, you guys, we're all together in this. For those of you who are have been on the blog, thank you so much for giving me the time to just have you over. And for those of you who haven't been on the blog but would like to, check out my For Authors tab, because that's where you can learn about doing character interviews, which is pretty much all I do at this point. Anyway, as I was saying, you guys sent in almost 30 questions, or a little more than 30 questions. Some of your questions contained questions, so I don't know how to count those as like one big question or like 12 little questions, but if I count them as smaller, then it sounds like a whole lot more. So over 30 questions were sent in when I said I was doing this vlog, and I have split them up into categories: author related, reader related, and real life related. So I'm just going to kind of do them in a scattering so that I'm not just answering just questions from one person and then just questions from another person. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth a little bit and try to keep it just a little more fun. So let's get started with our first question. And our first question is from Christine, and it's a great question. All of these questions are fantastic, so I'm just probably going to say that they're all great questions. The first question is, what's your favorite part about being an author, and what's your least favorite part? My daughter just came out of her room, and she's being very sneaky. She's going back to bed in a moment. So, my favorite part of being an author is, I would say that my favorite part of being an author is that moment when the story is done. Not done as in I just wrote it, but done in the I'm holding the proof copy in my hand, and I know that there's probably a couple of mistakes still in it, but that it's done and that it's ready for people to read. And that's also really terrifying, because that means that people are going to read it and they might not like it. And that is the scary part of being an author, but it's also the most exciting thing, because I've taken these ideas and these plans and these characters and these thoughts, and I've put them all together, and I've done a massive amount of work, and the editing and the proofreading and the formatting and the struggling with Kindle to get everything to look right and the struggling with the paperback to get everything to look right and the back and forth with the cover artist, which is really fun. I've worked with some fantastic cover artists who are super patient, and I love them to pieces, and they are just fantastic, phenomenal artists in their own right. Anyway, that would be my favorite part of being an author. My least favorite part of being an author, probably the waiting. There is a lot of waiting when it comes to just the whole process of writing a book, because often I'm waiting to start a book. I have ideas. I have tons of ideas for many books, and they're just waiting for me because I have to write the book that I'm writing right now, and I can't write all of them all at the same time. So that's a thing. And then there's also the waiting just to be done, like just to get to the next part or to get to the part that I want to get to, or the wait, like while I'm writing, I'm waiting for the book to be done, if that makes sense. So there's this waiting, and then as I'm editing, I'm waiting for the book to be finished. I'm waiting on editor's notes. I'm waiting for myself to get through the round of editor's notes. I'm waiting for the cover artist. I'm waiting for my formatter. I'm waiting. Just being an author is a lot of waiting. So if you're not good at that, I'm sorry, because you're just going to be frustrated as an author all the time, but so yeah, that's probably my least favorite part. And I know some people will probably say getting a bad review is my least favorite part. And I'm like, nah, getting a bad review is just part of being an author. And it's just, it's not fun, but I don't really dwell on that as much because it's not the point. The point is writing the book and getting it to the readers who will love it. And the readers who don't love it aren't the people I'm writing for. There are books out there for them, and that's one of the great things about just the world we live in, and the fact that people are all different, and there are different people who like different stories, and how awesome is that there is a variety of things that we like and things that are interesting to us. So anyway, favorite and least favorite parts of being an author. I probably waxed eloquent on that. So let's talk about reading. Christine also asks, if you were forced to be turned into any protagonist out of any book and go on the same journey they did, who would you choose? And would you do anything differently than they did? Any protagonist. If I were forced to choose a protagonist, I would probably say that the protagonist I would want to be is Cimmerian from Dealing with Dragons in the Enchanted Forest Chronicles. Now, this book is not for everyone. It is written for teenage girls, junior high girls, probably, more specifically. And it is a lighthearted, fairy tale-filled romp of a story that is just fun and completely hysterical. And I just love Cimmerian so very much. I love that she is practical and she's pragmatic, and she looks around and she sees things that are inconsistent or that she doesn't like and doesn't agree with, and she doesn't just maintain the status quo. She doesn't just go along with it because it's what's done. She does what she wants to do, and she doesn't do so in a angsty, or rude or rebellious sort of way. She just goes and does what she wants to do. And I don't know that I would be able to do that exactly the way that she did if I was in her adventure. I think probably one of the things I would do differently than she does is I probably wouldn't have given up on certain things. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have given up on certain things as quickly as she did. When her parents find out that she is taking cooking classes and they tell her to stop, she does, which I love. I love that she honors her parents in that way. And if I were honest, I probably would as well. But if I were her character in her story, I would probably sneak out and continue those lessons so that I would be better prepared for later adventures that she does have to go on and use those skills. So, not that I would do that myself, because I was a pretty obedient kid. I think my parents would agree with that. They can comment if they don't think that that is true. But as the character, Cimmerian, taking her place, that's what I would do differently. I would continue with the sword lessons in secret and the magic lessons in secret, and that way, when things come up later on in the story, I would be more prepared to deal with them. So, that's my answer to that. All right, next question is a real-life one from Tabia Shinaki. Said, I want to hear one of your real-life adventures, please. All right, you asked for it. I was trying to think of which one to tell you, and I came up with two, and I'm going to tell you the one that is kind of the funniest. So, when I was little, my grandparents had this bedroom with this huge 4-poster bed. I remember it as being huge. It might have just been a normal queen-size bed. I don't know. But it was huge to a 5 or 6-year-old, okay? And I had 7 girl cousins who were all within 4 years of my age. I was one of the youngest. And we got along really well. And we would all go to my grandparents' house, and our parents would hang out, and we would hang out all day, and we'd play, and we'd go down to the creek, and we'd walk their dogs, and we'd do all this stuff. And then sometimes we would get put to bed before we went home because our parents wanted to hang out and talk and have adult time without children running around, which I now understand, being an adult with children. So we would all get lined up on this huge bed and covered up with covers and each given a pillow, and then our parents would go out in the living room and hang out. Well, my grandparents had a laundry chute in the bottom of their closet. It was on the floor, and it had this covering so you couldn't just fall into it. But it was big. Okay, this was a big laundry chute. I mean, bigger than the ones I've seen in houses more recently, which are really small and there's no way a small child could fit down them. But this one was really big. And this is the way I remember it. Some of my cousins remember it a little differently, but this is how I remember it. Our parents told us to stay away from the laundry chute. And then they said goodnight, and they closed the door. And we had watched the movie Annie earlier that day. And so immediately upon the door closing, we all decided that we were going to play Little Orphan Annie. And we all wanted to be Pepper. And so we fought a little bit over who got to be Pepper, because Pepper was the coolest, and she was just kind of our hero at that particular moment in time. And so we were kind of dancing around on the bed and jumping up and down and quietly singing It's a Hard Knock Life. We thought we were quiet. Probably weren't, but our parents didn't come to check on us. I was probably, again, about 5 years old, or 6. Couldn't have been much older than that. So all of a sudden, somebody, I don't remember who it was, said, if we went down the laundry chute, it goes down in the basement, and the dog cages are down there, and we could pretend that the evil orphan keeper sent us down there as a punishment. And we thought that was a really great idea. So we decided to do it. And this is the way I remember it. Some of my cousins don't remember us all going down, but I have a very vivid memory of climbing down this laundry chute, okay? So maybe I'm combining 2 different events in my head, I don't know, but this is the way I remember it. So anyway, so we climbed down the laundry chute, and we all kind of landed, we helped, the older ones helped the younger ones down. I had some cousins, 2 cousins who were 4 years older than me, a couple of cousins who were 1.5, 2 years older than me, and then a cousin who was about the same age as me. So I was, again, one of the youngest. And we all went down the laundry chute, and we played down in the basement for a while. And we locked each other, we took turns locking each other in the dog cages, and it was just, we were just having a blast. And then we started to get tired, and we realized we probably should go to bed. I think probably one of my older cousins was deciding that it was time to be responsible and remind us that we really weren't supposed to be down there and that we should go to bed. So anyway, So we all then decided to climb back up the laundry chute. The youngest one's going first, the older one's coming later. We would, and until there was only one cousin left downstairs. And then she couldn't get up. She couldn't get up the laundry chute on her own. And I have a very vivid memory of two of my cousins holding me by my feet, because again, I was the youngest and therefore probably the lightest at this point, holding me by my feet, head first down the laundry chute, using me as a rope, and I tried to reach for her hands to pull her up, okay? But she couldn't reach me. So, eventually we gave up, and we left her down there. But that's not the end of the story. It would be really funny if it was the end of the story, kind of morbid, a little sad, but it gets better. So, she had to get back up to the bedroom, right? And she couldn't come up the laundry chute because we couldn't reach her. All right, we've established that. So, she had to walk across the basement and climb the basement stairs and then walk through the living room where all of the adults were. And we heard some talking, and it sounded a little stern, and then the door opened. And I don't know what happened next, because we were all lined up on the bed with our heads on our pillows and the blankets pulled up over us, totally pretending that we were completely asleep, and left our cousin out to dry. And I don't know if she ever forgave us for that. So, that was one of my real life adventures, hanging upside down in the laundry chute when I was about 5. And yeah, good times. Good times. So, next question. DJ wants to know, what are some of my favorite posts I've written on this website? Well, that's a really good question. And I was trying to think of the answer, and I was looking through all my posts and kind of just taking stock of what I've written, and I don't know that I could say this post. Like, I can't just point to a post and say, that's my favorite post I've ever written. But I do think that any of my February is fantasy. I can't say February is fantasy month without stumbling all over it every single time. This is why I'm a writer. All of my February is fantasy month posts. Those are among my favorites. They've been my favorites to write. They've just been a blast to pull together, and it's really fun to watch how all of you interact with those posts and seem to enjoy them, and that's just one of my favorite things that I do here on the blog. The other one would be the award ceremonies for the Silmarillion Awards, or Silmaril Awards as we're calling them, since this year, and just the fun that it is to tell a whole scene from the characters' perspectives and pull in characters that aren't mine, and kind of, it's a little bit like writing fan fiction, which I have never actually done. It is fun to do that for the awards ceremony, and fun to play around with that a little bit. And also, I mean, honestly, the other ones that are really fun are the character interviews. Having some of your characters over here to chat and just kind of getting to collaborate with another author is a lot of fun. So I enjoy those posts as well. Those would be the ones that are probably, those 3 categories would be my favorites. Christine asks, what is your best advice for balancing writing and life? How do you manage to find time to write amidst the chaos? Chaos is a very good word for it. You see my nice little background here with my lovely tree and my fireplace and all that. And what you're not seeing is the rest of the house. And that's very much on purpose. And right now my house looks pretty good, mostly because I have guests. The house really only gets cleaned when guests come. So, how do I find the time? How do I find the balance? It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday struggle, really, to find that time to write, to be a mom, to make the house look like it, tornado people don't live here. Tornado people? I don't know if that's the next big blockbuster movie, by the way. Tornado people. Sorry. It's a little late, and I'm a little slap happy right now. So, yeah, it's every day. It's, finding the balance is not something that you just find and then you do that all the time, because every day is different. and you never know when you wake up what the day is going to be like. And some nights you sleep really well, and so you wake up and you can tackle the whole day and get stuff done, and other days you don't sleep real well, and so nothing gets done, and you just kind of have to move on. So, but a couple of things that I can throw out there are, honestly, prayer. Prayer is the number one thing that gets me through every day of every week of every month of every year. It's a daily activity, and it's not even just a daily activity. It is sometimes it's an hourly activity. When I have newborns, it is a second, like every second of every day. I feel like I'm just praying. I've learned as a parent that I never really understood the concept of pray without ceasing until I became a parent. And all of a sudden it makes sense. It's this constant prayer that never ends. You never say amen. You never shut it off. It's just this constant line of communication, and it's exhausting, but it's also really neat to be able to know that the creator of the universe is right here with me and listening to my 24-hour long prayer that just is sometimes just the same thing over and over again. Please let this child sleep. 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 And, but really it is, it's the Lord is a part of everything in my day. And without him, there is no way that I could do any of this. I couldn't be a good mom. I couldn't homeschool my kids. I couldn't write anything. I wouldn't be a good wife. I would be a mess. I would be probably just lying on the couch crying constantly because I would be overwhelmed and not have any motivation and not be diligent and not be able to move through the day, because not because of anything externally, not because my kids are really great, they're wonderful, I love them, but I would just not have the strength to face the day without Jesus. It's he is the only reason that even this corner of my house is clean. But yeah, that's as honest as I can be about it, is pray, come meet Jesus where you are and tell him what you're struggling with and tell him what you need to get done. He knows. He already knows. It's not a surprise to him. He knows and he cares. I mean, he has given me these 4 kids to raise and to watch and to love and to be an example to. And so he knows what they need, and he knows what I need in order to be able to give them what they need. And he also has given me a skill to write and a desire to share that writing with other people. And so I pray about that too. And just the other day, for example, I was really struggling in the middle of November with a part of my book. I was struggling with, it's boring and I hate it and nothing is happening and I don't want to write this anymore. And I just knelt down and I prayed, and I in the like 30 seconds I had before excuse me, before I had to go make breakfast for the kids, I just prayed, dear Lord Jesus, I need your help writing this book. I can't write it on my own, and I don't know what's supposed to happen next, and I don't know where the characters are going, and I don't know how to make it interesting, and I really need your help. And as quick as that, and it doesn't always happen this fast, okay? Sometimes the answer is wait, and sometimes the answer is just keep writing, and it'll come together. But in this instance, the answer was instantaneous, and all of a sudden, the entire plot unraveled in my head for the part that I was writing, and how to make it super exciting, and how to throw suspense back into the story. And it was totally different than what I had been planning, and it just worked, and it made the rest of NaNoWriMo really easy. So yeah, and then just a huge amount of thanks, thanking God for the times when he does help out with those things and does give me that flash of inspiration or insight into what needs to happen next. And a lot of trust with that he's got this, and that he's got a purpose for all of it, and that that he's holding me. And so, I mean, that's the number one tip for balancing life and writing and handling, the chaos of that. Other tips would be, lesser tips, word sprints. That has really been the biggest thing for me this year, is word sprints. I wrote all of book 3, Turam Archive book 3. I wrote all of that on word sprints, and it's the fastest a book has come together since Second Son. So, I think it needs a lot of work, but it's done. And honestly, the rough draft is probably the hardest part of the process for me, because it's fun. I love drafting, but it does get overwhelming and exhausting after a while, because I don't always know where it's going. And so the word sprints really helped. I did all of NaNoWriMo pretty much on word sprints, and I have no idea how much longer this book is going to be, but Turam Archive book 4 has over 70,000 words in it, and hopefully I can get it finished pretty soon. A lot of it is get off Facebook, get off Instagram, get off Twitter. And it's so hard for me to do. And I just want to, in the moments that I have to myself, I just want to veg out, and I just want to stare blankly at the screen and, whoa, what are all my writer buddies doing, and what are they talking about, and ooh, there's a cool tag, and and those things are great, and it's good networking, but in those moments when you can either choose to turn on Facebook or choose to open up your Word document or your Scrivener file or your whatever you write in, it's I hate to tell you this, but open up the Word document, open up the Scrivener file, open up whatever it is, and write on your book. And if you don't get to Facebook, world won't end. Promise. In fact, when I go off Facebook for a couple of days, I don't think anybody misses me. So it's all right. It's all right. You can still have those interactions and still participate in those tags when you get back. They're not going anywhere. And, you might miss a couple, but there's just as equally fun ones coming up tomorrow. So anyway, that is where we're at. I'm at 30 minutes already, so I'm going to cut this off, and we'll do another one of these in a couple days.